guys, it's Paige. Welcome back to my channel. So one of the main purposes of this channel has always been to just share my life experiences. Sometimes these experiences may inspire you, and other times they may hopefully prevent you from making some of the same mistakes that I have. So I was thinking maybe I can make a video listing some of the mistakes that I've made since moving to London. If you're planning to make a move to London in the future, hopefully this video can help you and make things go a lot smoother. You live and you learn, so I'm happy to share these with you guys. Okay, first we have going the wrong direction on the tube. This is something I just did a few days ago, over the weekend. I've been in London for about a year and 8 months or so now, and sometimes I just think I can trust myself a little bit too much and that I can figure out where I'm going without my map. And it has been proven time after time that that is not the case. Over the weekend, I was running really late and I missed the train that I was supposed to be catching. Like as I was going down the steps, it was pulling off. So I hopped on the next one. I was supposed to be heading towards Waterloo, I believe. And I got on the next train that said it was heading towards Waterloo. Come to find out, that train was a straight shot to Waterloo. I needed a train that was going to be making a stop before it. So yeah, I thought that I knew better. I should have just paid attention to the times that was on my Google Maps instead of just hopping on the next train. But like I said, you live and you learn. Well, you would think you live and you learn, because I've done this far too many times. Hopefully I've learned after this one. Getting on the wrong train in London will set you at least 30 minutes back, in my experience. Going the wrong way for even just one stop or two can have you completely out of the way, okay? It's all bad. So utilize that phone. If you're using City Mapper, Google Maps, whatever your preference is, trust the app, okay? Unless you have time to kill, then, you know, take your chances. But I'm usually in a rush, so from now on, I'm only doing what this tells me to do. Next is making friends with mostly only other international people and expats. Now this was something that I really didn't even do intentionally. I think it can just happen naturally sometimes. When you're new in a country, it's easy to latch on to someone else who's new in a country because you both came here alone, you're both looking for friends, you both want someone to explore with, and it's just easy like that, you know? So when I got here in January 2019, I immediately became friends with other Americans that I met here, my classmates who were from different parts of the world. Yeah, I didn't really make many British friends. Sometimes it also feels like, you know, other international people are more open to new friends because they may have come here alone, whereas people who have been here all their lives or have been here for years, they're like already in their set friend groups, you know what I mean? So it could be a little bit intimidating trying to make friends with British people sometimes. Myself and other internationals just kind of gravitated towards each other. But here is the downside to that. Majority of us are all on visas, temporary visas, especially the other Americans that I've met here. And you know, most visas eventually expire. People's programs end if they came here to study. Some people just decide to leave, you know what I mean? Like people move away. People decide to just go back home. Pretty much all of my classmates have left London now. A lot of the American friends that I met here, they've returned back to the States, and I am just in this predicament where I feel like I'm kind of starting over almost, you know, building new friendships, trying to meet new people. I just recently went to an event, if you guys watched my vlog, where I went on a trip with the Black British travel meetup group, just trying to do everything I can to like build new relationships because a lot of my friends have just left, you know, they left me. Even one of my friends who is British, Sam, she moved out of London. So it just happens. It's a part of being an adult, you know, people come and people go. So yeah. My next mistake was not doing more research before attempting to have something mailed to me from the US to the UK. So I actually did an entire story time video on this, and I will link it in the cards above. But yeah, my mom attempted to mail me a couple boxes of clothing and just like other items that I couldn't fit in my luggage when I first moved. And I take all the blame. I definitely take all the blame because my mom has never experienced this before. She's never mailed anything abroad, but I hadn't either. But I do know how to utilize Google, so I should have done that. But basically, we didn't really know how it went with like filling out the customs forms. My mom thought she was insuring my things by writing on the customs form that they were worth a lot of money, even though it was just used clothing. Most of it I had actually purchased from the thrift store. So once it got into customs, once it arrived into the UK, they were not trying to release it until I paid a lot of money because they thought it was like brand new goods, I guess. I don't really know. After going through that whole situation, I ended up using this website called Send My Bag. Not sponsored, but holla at me if you're watching this, Send My Bag, because I love you guys. But that website made the process so much easier, and they told you on there how to do customs forms. They actually said, like, you know, use clothing like t-shirts, pants, stuff like that. You should only write that they're worth like 50 cents to $1, like for each piece. But watch that story time video, watch that story time, because I completely break it down in that video and yeah, give all the details. So try not to make that same mistake, please. The next mistake on my list is losing my US credit card. I was doing so well with this, guys. Like, I'm usually a person who loses or misplaces their card pretty often. When I was back in the States, I was getting a new card all the time because I was just irresponsible. But I just knew it would be a hassle if I lost my credit card here in the UK. So I was holding on tight to that card, y'all. I held on for at least a year and 5 months, a year and a half, year and 5 months, until one day I just could not find it. I could not find my credit card. And this is my US credit card. I do have a UK debit card, which I transfer like pounds onto it to pay my rent to my flatmate and just things like that. But I use my US credit card when I'm doing bigger purchases, like when I'm shopping for groceries, clothes, things like that, because your girl is trying to accumulate these points, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm always using my credit card for the points. But when I lost it, I knew that I was gonna have to get another one. And when I was discussing it with my mother, we both decided that it would probably, you know, get to me quicker if I just changed my address on Chase, on the Chase website, and told them to send my replacement card to me directly here in London. Because we were going back and forth whether I should have them ship the new card to my house in the States and my mom mail it to me. But I think she was still traumatized from like trying to send me something in the past. So she's like, just have Chase send it to you in London. Come to find out, it takes up to 4 weeks for them to send you a new credit card internationally, versus the 2 days it would have taken to arrive to my house in the States. So if we had just went that route, my mom would have gotten it in 2 days, and then she could have mailed it to me, and it probably would have came to me in another 3 days. But no, we decided to have Chase mail it to me, and they were not kidding. It took an entire month for me to get a new credit card. It was like such an annoying time because I used my credit card for pretty much everything, and I was having to use my debit card, and it cost money for me to like convert dollars to pounds when I'm sending it to that. It was a lot. It was really annoying, but I promise you I'm gonna be holding on to that new credit card for dear life. One benefit though, it has the like contactless chip on it on my new card, so I can actually tap in the grocery stores now instead of inserting the chip. So that's been nice, but I just wish it didn't take a month to arrive. I will never do that again. And next, I actually did a storytime video about this experience too that I will link for you guys because this is such a crazy story. But it is leaving my passport in my carry-on bag. Now, you guys know that one of my favorite parts about living in London is how easy it is to travel throughout Europe. So in 2019, I was definitely taking advantage. And I had never had any travel drama at all until my birthday trip in May 2019 to Lisbon, Portugal. All I brought with me was like a purse, or maybe it was like a little backpack, and then my rolling carry-on suitcase, right? We were preparing to board the plane, and I slipped my passport into my carry-on bag as I usually did. And once I got outside, they told me that there was no more room on the plane for my bag and that it would have to be checked. Guys, it just happened all so fast. They took my bag, like they pretty much just grabbed it out of my hands, and they gave me a little card like saying that they had it, and it was gone. And I really didn't think much of it until we landed in Portugal. Once you land in another country, of course you have to go through customs, and it's time to show your passport. And it was then I realized that I messed up badly. Oh my gosh. So of course my passport was in my carry-on bag, which is now on one of those, you know, what is that belt thing called, in the baggage pickup area. It had been through, okay? And I was stuck on the other side of customs. You guys just have to watch that story time, but it was like the most stressful birthday ever. I was in tears. The security and customs was so mean to me. Oh my gosh, I will never forget how mean they were to me. And it was just a total accident. Like I said, it happened so fast, but it was definitely a learning lesson. I will always keep my passport on me. I will never slip it into any other bag ever again. Like, it's gonna be in my pocket or in my hand the entire time on the flight, because I never want to go through that again. Never. But if you want to see how that situation ended, definitely watch that story time video. Now, next on the list is something that fortunately didn't turn out bad for me, but it could for someone else. I think I really just got lucky. God was looking out for you, girl. But it is waiting or not immediately registering for a GP, aka the doctor, or a dentist. I took my sweet time with this one, y'all. I really can't tell you why, but I just did. I did not register for a doctor until about 6 months or so after living here. I waited until I moved out of the residence hall on campus, and I registered for a doctor once I moved into this flat, so in this area. And like I said, fortunately I didn't need to go to the doctor before then, but I don't know what would have happened if something like an emergency happened and I needed to go in and be seen. I don't know how that process would have went, but I definitely handled it once I got here, but I should have done it way sooner. And I remember talking to my classmates who had done it within like the first few weeks of arriving here, and I was just like, I'll get around to it. Who knew it would take me 6 months? But yeah, and then also registering for the dentist. So this one, luckily it turned out all right, but I did have a tooth emergency before I actually registered for the dentist. I accidentally cracked the filling in one of my teeth. It was so uncomfortable, so just painful, and I needed to go to the dentist like immediately. And I had not registered for one yet, but luckily it was like a pretty quick process. I think I may have done it online, or did I do it in person? I can't really remember, but I just went on Google, typed in my postcode, and found a dentist that was close to me in walking distance. There's so many dentist offices in my area. It's really crazy, but there's so many. And I just kind of went like this on Google and chose one. And they handled that for me. You do have to pay out of pocket when you go to the dentist. It's not like when you go to the doctor and you don't have to pay a copay or anything because you have NHS, which is the health insurance here. You do have to pay something every time you go to the dentist. And it cost me a pretty penny for cracking my filling. It cost me a pretty penny. And they, you know, they asked me, did I want like a white filling or a silver filling? And I paid more because I wanted a white one because it was on the bottom teeth that you could see that one off my mouth. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of money. It was an accident. And you never know what's gonna happen, so you gotta be prepared for whatever. And last but not least on my list of mistakes since I moved to London is trying to avoid the much needed self-work that I needed to do and not fully embracing my solitude when I first arrived here. Now, I'm sorry guys, I'm about to get a little bit deep with you, but I just had to include this one. I've said this in several vlogs before, but moving abroad does not equal instant happiness. It doesn't. Wherever you go, you bring yourself with you, meaning all your past problems, trauma, all of that. It's coming right along. Moving abroad, of course, is a nice distraction at first, but once things settle down, all of that's gonna start coming back up. And being alone in a new country is honestly one of the best times and opportunities to just really sit in it and face things head on and just work through it, you know? I tried to avoid the work as long as I could by like dating as soon as I got here, bouncing from place to place, being out every weekend, going out every day, hanging out with friends, until finally I couldn't fight it anymore. I had a lot of work that I needed to do. I needed to like truly heal from the breakup that I was going through. A lot of things, you know, and I finally just started to embrace this alone time that I had. I took walks, I cried a lot, I journaled. I finally fell completely in love with my solitude. I'm afraid a little too much at times because I'm like really enjoying being alone now. Which is like the opposite of how I was before I arrived here. I learned that my happiness cannot be based solely on my circumstances or my location. It has to come from within here, then here, and here. I think I'll forever be doing the work, the self-work, but I'm so happy that I got to do it here in London. I couldn't think of a better place to be, I guess, to fall in love with myself. It's been great. Uncomfortable at times, difficult, challenging, but it has been the best experience of my life. And that is pretty much it, guys. I'm sure there's plenty more mistakes that I made, but those are all the ones that I could think of for today's video. If I can think of more, I'll make a part 2. As always, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!